BC, what's up, guys? I'm back on here doing a video. I saw Mr. Hall of Fame Brandon did an essential hip hop uh, 80s video, and I'm gonna go through some of the ones that I remember listening to. I remember all the ones he picked. I'm gonna pick a couple of more different ones too. Um, yeah, I remember watching the video with we was all chatting. It was Billy Hurst, Mitch Wood, and Mr. Hall of Fame, and Steve, Harmless Rebel, who was all talking about, a lot of the hip hop albums during that, that period, the 80s period. Uh, Going back to when I started, actually, my first concert I saw, Curtis Blow was my very first concert. I remember taking the train downtown. It was a R&B Ribs and Bibs festival. It was near Navy Pier, a place called Olive Park. It's still there, but now Navy Pier is where they have a lot of different stuff at. But I remember seeing Curtis Blow. He came out in '86, and he was still touring off. He was touring off this track here, "If I Rule the World." Actually, this is one of my favorite tracks by him, and he did a lot of songs, man. Basketball. He did basketball, and he did it almost like a tribute to Michael Jordan. He actually had on the Air Jordans. I remember. I never forget that. I was about 15 or 16, and I saved up my money to go down there. I heard he was coming. It was like $5 to get in. I never forget that. But yeah, this guy was like the pioneer for me, man. It's Kurt. Kurt was cold, man. I remember Sugar Hill Gang. I remember hearing them, but this was like the guy that really got me into the rap, listening to rap music, Curtis Blow. And I actually saw him again years later in 2002. He performed at the Double Door in Chicago. Uh, what's the name? Rob Bass opened up, and I got to meet him. I walked up to him. It was cold. I remember it was November. And I walked up to him, shook his hand, and he gave me dap, and yeah, Curtis Blow definitely. If I Rule the World, everybody probably remember that's anybody that grew up during that '80s time. This definitely was a winner. And then you move on to DMC, another group, Pioneers. This is my original copy of King of Rock. Yeah, King of Rock, and then they had a couple of the tracks from Crush Groove. You're Blind. I love Run DMC, man. Definitely the pioneers of the whole game. This one was, I'm surprised I ended up finding this copy. I found this like 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Found this in the shrink. It looked like it's never been played. But a lot of those old school hip hop albums are so hard to find now. But yeah, this one, they even had the hype sticker. But yeah, King of Rock. And then after they did that album, after the Crush Groove, this was the juggernaut right here. Raising Hell. Classic. Adidas. Proud to be black. Man, this had like some dope stuff on here, man. Peter Piper. And then It's Tricky. These guys right here made the whole Adidas. They made Adidas popular. Because Nike was on its way up when Jordan came to the league. He signed a deal with Nike. But these Adidas, everybody had, sometimes some of them didn't have the shoelaces, and some of them had those real fat shoelaces. But yeah, I saw these guys. I saw Run DMC in the mid 90s with Jam Master Jay at the Park West Theater. I will never forget it. We got there. Cool DJ Red Alert was the MC. And yeah, they was playing Crush Groove before they came on. And man, when DMC came on, them boys were some bad brothers, man. Yeah, they influenced the whole generation. And that was like the main stuff, man. When I was growing up, I couldn't afford any of the vinyl back then. My grandma used to give me like $5, $10. I wasn't working. I was a kid. And with that $5, I used to run to the store and get the cassettes. I used to buy all the cassettes to all the old hip hop. But yeah, this one's an essential, man. Run DMC, Raising Hell, probably one of the great albums of all time of hip hop. You know, and this is the beginnings. And then you talk about Run DMC, you can't forget about these guys, the Beasties, License to Ill. Yeah, this is original copy also. License to Ill is a classic opener, man. I love this record. And they actually, it was just tripped out when it was on the Def Jam label, the Rick Rubin. They started off with this, and then they branched off and they went to Capitol, left Def Jam. This is my Paws Boutique. This was '89. I like Hey Lady, Shadrach, Johnny Ryall. This was packed with samples. I'm just surprised these days that, you know, a lot of the rappers now, it's like a lot of the samples, they're not sampling as much. They do minimal sampling, but these guys, this stuff was packed with samples. And I'm going to show you another record down the line you're going to know, and that one had a lot of samples too. But yeah, this Beastie Boys, this is an essential. Anybody collect the Beasties? Sorry about the glare. This is the one. I actually like this a lot more than the License to Ill. I just love it, man. It just flows. They were so creative, freestyling, MCing, and with that the Dust Brothers production, that's what just made it even better. And this one I believe was recorded on the West Coast. It wasn't recorded on the East Coast. Majority of it was on the West Coast. I believe it was recorded in someone's apartment, but yeah, Beastie Boys, Paws Boutique. And then now we get to the teacher. Scholar Rock is dead. KRS One just steps up, forms Boogie Down Productions. And this is the first one on Boogie Down Productions, My Philosophy. This right here solidified his MCing as the teacher. He's one of the great MCs. He easily makes my top 5 list. This album here, By All Means Necessary, it was packed with jams. This is the beginning of that. This is like that golden age. This was '88. Stop the Violence was on here. Man, I'm still number one, showing you how cold his lyrics was. I'm still number one. Oh man, this record brings back so many memories. This was another one. Yeah, he has a lot. And then he had one called, and then he had that track called Jimmy, talking about safe sex. Always wear your Jimmy because you have the venereal diseases and the HIV. And yeah, this dude was he was an informative MC, one of the great MCs. One artist I wish I would got to see him live, but never did. Never got to check him out. But yeah, he's definitely in my list. One of the tops. And then can't talk about the '80s hip hop without this one. The classic. Stone Cold classic. Yep. Takes a nation a million to hold us back. Chuck D was a mother. The lyrics, racial, he talked about racial stuff that was going on. He talked about poor. I mean, he was just, this right here was so ahead of its time. Almost like I would consider this like the what's going on of hip hop. This dude, then you had Flavor there. Dude was like Sinister. DJ was Terminator X. Yeah, the boys, these boys, man, everybody knows the tracks on here. Don't Believe the Hype, and oh man, oh, this has so many, and then a lot of the samples. They used to sample a lot of like Anthrax and stuff like that. But yeah, just looking at this, man, Prophets of Rage, Night of the Living Bassheads. And when they pushed this out, this was actually their second album. The first album was Yo Bum Rush the Show, my '98. When they came out with this one changed the game. And then he ended up going on to, he did a song for a Spike Lee movie, and it was Fight the Power. Definitely Chuck D. You know, it's so funny. I ended up seeing, I bumped into Chuck D at Virgin Megastore. This was like years later. My wife, which was then my girlfriend, then she recognized. She said, "LaBelle, look, that's Chuck D." I looked. I said, "Damn, that's Chuck D." I said, "Hey, Chucky, like, what's up, man?" But yeah, takes a nation, a million to hold us back. Sorry about the glare. Back to the MCing. I know Mr. Hall of Fame show. It's Paid in Full. Paid in Full was like your introduction to the great Rakim, the MC Rakim. Then he follows it up with this right here, 88. Time to set it straight. Follow the leader. Man, when this came out, when he was dressed up like the gangster with the gangster clothes, like the old Al Capone, this right here is straight MCing. Microphone Fiend, Lyrics of Fury, and I used to love doing it with the R. Microphone Fiend is, I definitely knew Nas was listening to this. I mean, his punchlines was sick. Airbnb and Rakim. This was their second album, and to me, this one puts the step ahead of Paid in Full. Paid in Full is a must, but you definitely gotta have this. This is like the chain between the two. But yeah, this is my original copy. Love this album. Man, bring back a lot of memories, man. And then you go on to this one. I remember they had those guys, the Juice Crew, and I mean, you had a lot of those guys back then. Rap was on its way up. It was just coming out with stuff. This was Biz Markie's debut, Going Off. This was a classic. The Vapors, Albee Square Mall. These was all straight classics, man. And Nobody Beats the Biz. Legendary DJ of this time was Marley Marl. Marley Marl was the legendary DJ. And Marley Marl used to hook up a lot of cats back then. He was a hell of a DJ, man. But yeah. And then part of that crew, he even mentioned them. And another lyrical juggernaut during that period was the Kane. It's a Big Daddy thing. This is probably one of his best albums. I got a lot of his albums, but this one was rough, man. Another victory. Get the Job Done. I remember they showed that. Children of the Future. Oh man, this is packed with Ain't No Stopping Us. Yeah, I Get the Job Done. It's killer. And then he got the flow when he goes into his flow. Warm It Up, Kane. Freestyle. Dangerous. Dangerous, man. This guy was, yeah, this is my original copy. This boy was dangerous. And then you move on to another classic, The Storyteller, Slick Rick. I remember Dana Dane was the one that was Dana Dane with Fame, talking, had the accent, and then you had Slick Rick was another guy. And this is an essential, man. The Ruler is Back, Mona Lisa, Teenage Love, which hit so good because I remember being a teenager. I was a teenager, and this was great, man. Yup. Dope lyrics. The lyrics, Children's Story, and then the monster on here, Hey Young World. Still, every time I hear that, it just, the flows, the beats. Man, these guys back then, man, they was getting it together, man. This is when rap was at its height, you know, getting to its heights, man. It was at its heights. This is the golden era. But yeah, Slick Rick. So many flavors, man. A lot of these artists I've been showing is pretty much New York, because when New York, you had some West Coast artists like Too Short and WA, but majority of the ones I have on vinyl are from the New York hip hop, the East Coast scene. So many different flavors. Everybody's sound was different. And then you got this one, Big Time, Heavy D and the Boys. This was his second one. I know Mr. Hall of Fame showed his first one. This was his second one. And what's so funny about this copy, I bought this at Dusty Groove. This was a famous DJ back in the day, Jazzy Joyce. This is her original album. So I think believe she used to DJ with this. But yeah, the bass on here was hitting. Money on the Mount Vernon was in the house, in the house. Yeah, this one, and then he actually had I'll Be Sure on here. Somebody Wants Me for Me. This was tight, man. Tight hip hop. And then, since you had that flavor, you had some guys that was thinking they was pushing this right here, push the boundaries. This is like psychedelic meets hip hop. They were from Long Island. It was a crew that started up. First it was Jungle Brothers, and then they formed, it was another group, De La Soul. Classic. 3 Feet High and Rising. Definitely packed with samples. Steely Dan. Oh my God. Hall and Oates. This one was packed with samples. You thought the Beastie Boys had a lot of samples, but yeah, De La brought it on here. Very psychedelic. This was I would say possibly the Sergeant Pepper, or I mean, this is cold. It's the Daisy Age, you know. Classics on here. I know Me, Myself, and I, Buddy, talking about the girl, you know, you digging. Yeah. Potholes in My Lawn. These guys were from Long. You know, what was so cool, I used to like these guys. A lot of the guys back then, the MCs, they used to wear those jogging suits with the big chain. These guys come out cool, boots. They had the Timberland boots. They'll have like the navy pea coats, chill, almost like Gap clothing. These guys was the guys I related to dead on when they came out. I wasn't wearing the jogging suits and all of that stuff. You know, like the LL and the Kumo D. These guys used to wear all of the preppy stuff, preppy clothes, polo, stuff like that. But yeah, De La Soul. And then they branched off, since it was the native tongue, Jungle Brothers, De La Soul. You can't talk about them without mentioning The Tribe. Recorded in '89, came out in '90. First track I heard that blew me away was Bonito Applebloom. Man, I heard that. Woo! That was mind blowing, man. Mind blowing. And I left my wallet at El Segundo. Can I kick it? Yes, she can. Definitely. A must have. This was their debut. And you know what followed after that. I don't need to say no more. Low End Theory. Man, this had so many joints on here, man. Yep. This actually brought out a lot of people. Was it Busta Rhymes, Scenario? Oh my God, there's so much on here, man. Bugging Out, Excursions, the sampling, jazz. This is when they was getting into. This is when jazz was mixing with the hip hop. Jazz was definitely mixing with hip hop. So that's definitely. This is '91. Rap was already. It was getting there. It was already on in the books. Classic. And then my last one, another East Coast, very important album, Large Professor. main source. This right here was when you first got to hear Nas. I'm not going to show Nas album. I do have it, but yeah. Live at the Barbecue. You hear that? This is when Nas came out. His name was AKA Nasty Nas. But yeah, this right here, 91, looking at the front door, just hanging out. Oh, man. Snake Eyes. And then they had another single, which I'm surprised they never put it on here. Faking the Funk was tight too. But yeah, this is my hip hop. Man, I can go on and on and on. There's so much stuff. I mean, I was into this stuff, man. The rap game was on point, man. A lot of the stuff was so good. The music, the summers, the winters. But yeah, that's my hip hop from the 80s, early 90s, the golden age. Uh, but definitely, guys, be safe out there. And man, I see everybody's been cranking these videos out, man. It's hard for me to do a lot of videos because I'm working, but I had to do this video. I promised Brandon I was going to go and knock this out, but definitely. Peace.